Made me look at how maybe I could deal with the situation better if I was ever in that problem again, and how I could look at other situations or any other problems I could face in the future, and maybe dealing with them in different ways. So I found it really useful, really helpful.
I found it really enjoyable, but I found it more difficult than I expected because it's not very often that you get asked to think so deeply about one issue. It's quite a more of an in-depth process than I expected. I found it really valuable, but sometimes a little bit uncomfortable, like it was kind of not something that I'm used to, but I think that was a really good thing. Like it made me do something that I've not really done before and think about something in a way that I've not really thought about it before. So I think it's been really different to how I expected, but really enjoyable and like really valuable process. Thought about this issue in so much depth. If I hadn't gone through this process, I would have just thought, well, that was quite annoying and there was nothing I could really do about it. And I've realised actually there was quite a few things I could have done about it. So it made me think about it more from my own perspective rather than just the university's perspective of what they could do. Like what could I have done about it as well, and what could I change in the future?
I think it's been really helpful for my reflective process. Also, for me to be able to understand the way that I think.
Yeah, I think it did, because originally I thought it was just an issue with the piece of coursework, but actually I think it was more due to not feeling prepared, and then how stressed I got about the situation, and there wasn't really a need to get that stressed about it.
Initially I thought it was a bit of a waste of time, but eventually I thought, no, actually I see the point of it. So in the first session I was like, oh, this is taking way too long. But nearly the end of it, I was like, actually, I'm learning a lot from this. Like, I'm improving myself. And next time this ever does happen again, I can do this instead of this. Oh, maybe don't think about why this has happened. Instead, think about why this has made you think that this has happened. Like, think more into it instead of just being shallow and be like, I just don't like the system. And like, because I didn't like the system, I didn't actually do anything about it. And then when this project came on, I was like, yeah, let's sign up for it because it's £100. And afterwards I was like, no, actually it's more than just £100. It made me think more, just in a sense that if this affects me this way, how can I combat it? Because not every time other people will change. Instead, sometimes I have to change.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to help me when I practice as a pharmacist eventually, because I've refined my organisation skills and then my reflective skills as well, to be able to look back and to learn from what I could do better and to find potential solutions to problems that I may encounter.
And I think the staff have been amazing because they're always challenging you to like think even deeper than you think. Like you think you thought like, okay, this is deep, and they're like, well, it's not that deep. There's more to it, and you're like, okay, there's more that I can say. And it's like a therapy session. It was a real therapy session, this whole thing. It was definitely more in depth, but it was also like, it taught me to shift blame, or not, as in not to keep saying, okay, it's the school's fault. It was like, okay, what could I have done differently as well?
Definitely being, talking to lecturers themselves, you feel like you've been given a voice and you're being heard, and you get to actively hear their solutions and what the lecturers are thinking of doing. So you always feel like you're being heard, as opposed to when, do a feedback questionnaire or whatever. You don't know if your point's being taken or it's just being glossed over. From going through this project, definitely in the reflection stage, I've been able to see what I've been doing wrong, what I could have done better throughout the year in hindsight, as well as things I'll be able to take forward now into my fourth year, now that I've been able to develop the case and my issue.
Going in, I didn't think it would be a lot, to be honest, but it's been quite surprising, like over the course of a 10-hour process, to go into something in as much detail and depth as we have. And we don't get that opportunity a lot. It made it feel like more of a consultation as opposed to like a direct sort of question and answer session. Because like in previous situations where we've had like a student conversation, a lecturer would just ask a question, we'd just give a direct answer back. We were never sort of challenged on those views. Whereas we made all the posters and stuff, and we were able to comment on each other's, and to have those sort of views and opinions challenged by our peers to give us like a new perspective and like a new side of it was quite rewarding. It makes you consider other people's views and opinions, ones that you wouldn't have considered yourself, because when you're in the moment and you think of an issue, you think very subjectively, Whereas like an outside observer will think, well, what did you think about this? Or have you considered this aspect? And what could you have done differently? Because it's quite easy to sort of blame everything else when you look at yourself and